Hey, friends.
Hi, friends.
Ooh, it's spooky season. Yeah, okay. Anything?
Boopy.
Whoa, spooky.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Boopity-doo.
We
Who
here
are you?
we
Super-
here
Sorry.
we here
Woo, spooky.
we love spooky season here in Katy Needs a Life. We're going to talk to you about horror movies this week. But before we do, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Katy, and I'd like to think that I'd be the one who would survive at the end of a horror movie.
I'm Reggie. I'm actually probably the monster. My bad.
My name's David. I'd be out pretty fast.
My name is Jake. I am positive I'd be the first one to die.
Okay, so we just splayed that out so fast and nobody was fighting about who's gonna live at the end. Seems kind of like we should probably make a horror movie because we already know what parts we'd have.
Well, if there's a sequel, I definitely lived. If it's like Jason, where he went to hell and then he went to space.
Remember when he was blown up by a grenade and then something happened? Was he cloned or what happened? It was just like a chunk of him that was left, and then it
Yeah, that
somehow
was
became
Jason.
a
I think that was Jason X, where they were in
Yeah.
space, and then there was
Yeah.
he ended up in some sort of machine that recreated the rest of them, which was a mistake.
It always goes well when you're bringing back people like Einstein, but once Jason gets in there.
Have you seen any good horror movies lately?
Does Anaconda count as a horror movie?
I actually watched 2 movies that I've been meaning to watch since they came out, which is Midsummer and Hereditary. I watched those this week.
I hope
Ooh.
not back to back.
No, I mean there was work in between.
Okay. That'd be a real depressing day and kind of spoopy.
Well, last night I was watching Midsummer, and Hannah and Jared just kind of kept walking through at random points and just being like, "Okay, what's going on here?"
So personally, I liked Midsummer's story better than Hereditary, but I thought that the imagery in Hereditary was far more graphic and long-standing. But I think about Midsummer more. And I can actually kind of remember what Midsummer's about. I forgot what Hereditary was about right away.
Hereditary was definitely gorier, and just the way both movies are shot, the use of colors in Midsummer is just that movie's really pretty looking, and then you get into the story and you're like, okay, there's darkness under all that pretty.
Well, that director also did The Witch and uses for their soundtracks this thing called the Apprehension Engine. That's amazing. It's just I don't know, if you've heard the scores to The Witch or Hereditary and stuff, those screeching sounds and all of that, that's just this
All that
one.
just weird ambient.
Yeah, and the ticking and the heartbeat type sounds and the chaos feedback and stuff, that's all made on this one thing. It's a hurdy-gurdy and of drone spooky notes, a bunch of rulers that go plink plink plink, and then and screech, and then it's a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, I will send you a link.
A hurdy-gurdy made of knives.
It's got just every sound
Bones.
that it makes is terror, is nightmare fuel.
Human flesh.
Yeah, it's actually just pine and I think rulers, but
Strings are made out of nerves.
All right, quick poll. How many of us actually like horror movies?
Yup.
Yup.
You suck. Yup.
Okay, so Jake, why don't you like horror movies?
It's not that I don't like horror movies. I'm so susceptible to getting completely creeped out by them afterwards that I kind of avoid them a little bit. Like, for instance, I really want to see Midsummer, but I saw Hereditary and that had an effect on me for quite a while. So I haven't seen it yet because of that.
I was just going to say, I don't think that Midsummer is as scary as Hereditary. Hereditary is definitely scary. Midsummer is really aesthetically pretty, and it's just kind of like surreal.
The one thing Hereditary did really, really well was just these like long down the hallway kind of shots where like it just makes everything feel really claustrophobic and shit and like good.
Okay, if you were to choose a genre, well, hold on, let me see what my rundown says because I decided to make one of these today. Why do people like horror movies? We were kind of getting into it before, and like for Jake, it can be more of an answer of like why you lie somewhere in between. Because it's like there's something cathartic about horror, and there's a link between horror and comedy where there's a disassociation with the main character because like whatever they're going through is so fantastical that you can't really relate to it. Why do you like or dislike horror?
I don't know. I have a fascination with the macabre, and there's like a lot of dark themes, and just it scares the shit out of you, which gives you like a little bit of like a release of like brain chemicals and whatnot, and getting the shit scared out of you is okay sometimes, especially when it's like just a movie.
Yeah, it's like roller coasters, or it's like, you know, whatever. It's feeling fear and like a fight or flight response in a safe environment. So it's more of like an enjoyment thing. People like getting spooked.
Eh,
Keep it spoopy.
booby dooby doo.
I have like very bigly anxiety. So I think that's why I do and don't like horror movies. It's like I feel like this anxiety I have is going to pay off in some way for once. But also after I watch the movie, I can't sleep for like days, or I have to lock all the doors in the house and keep a nightlight on and that kind of shit.
I generally think that locking your doors is a good idea, but that's just me.
I mean, like locking like the bedroom doors around me.
If we do that, then we're just permanently locked in whatever room.
I have a key.
You have a. Why don't I
have
have
a
a key?
Because it's like a skeleton key. I don't know.
It's made out of
Yeah.
bones.
That's the podcast I want, is you two stuck in a room and David trying to figure out where he left the one key.
That's literally our life.
Yeah.
It's just turning on a camera on a Tuesday.
What kind of horror movies are there? Like, I know that there's horror comedy where you have examples like Dead Alive or Army of Darkness.
Well, you got your typical like slasher flicks like Jason, all that stuff.
You got ghost movies like The Ring and Poltergeist.
Then you have like monsters. Like, you got your big guy monsters, and then you got like your little guy monsters, like Cloverfield versus like the Wolfman or like Dracula
Yeah, or Leprechaun.
Yeah.
or Leprechaun. Yeah.
Or Chucky. Or Chucky.
Yeah.
There's also like natural disaster movies like Twister and Dante's Peak and stuff.
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow. Ooh.
Ooh.
It's spooky because it's cold.
Hopefully you have warm enough socks.
There's like a scene with like a wolf or something in that movie.
Jake mentioned another type of one where it's like somewhere between a natural type of horror movie and what Reggie was talking about with Monster, where it's like animals or whatever. Anaconda being a super huge snake.
Or like Zombievers.
What about evil machines like
Ex Machina?
Maximum Overdrive? Has anybody seen Maximum Overdrive? That's Stephen King. It was written by Stephen King. It's about all the machines just get pissed off and decide to fight back, like a alien thing happens. So like trucks start chasing people down and cola machines start shooting cola in their junks, and like lots of slapstick gags, but it's a horror movie. It's so bad.
I have
So
not seen
bad.
it. I want to watch it though. That sounds
It's
right up my alley.
amazing, but it's great.
See, like, I think that my favorite genre is the one that I mentioned earlier, horror comedy. Like, Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 are such great movies. And pretty much anything that Bruce Campbell touches, like, I really love Bubba Hotep. I don't think I'm alone in that.
Bubba Hotep's great.
Bubba Hotep is so good. And it has so many of like the weird elements of horror. Like it has like the dead coming back to life, the like body snatcher element type of thing. It's just so funny though. So funny. Jake, have you ever seen Bubba Hotep?
I was gonna say, I know my cousin loved that movie when we were kids. I don't think I've seen it since I was too small to remember it.
It's still so good. I mean, it's just so funny. And like, okay, when I was a kid, Tales of the Crypt was scary, and it wasn't because of the story, it was because of the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
As an
I always thought the
adult, I
Crypt
don't
Keeper was
feel
dope.
that way. Yeah, the Crypt Keeper is dope.
You mentioned the anaconda thing. What would you classify Tremors as?
A monster movie. I mean, because they're like aliens or something, right?
No, they exist.
Supernatural. They're supernatural horror.
Yeah, yeah. But I watched every Tremors movie at the beginning of quarantine.
Wait, how many are there now?
So there's a new one coming out like Halloween this year.
Sweet.
And that's like the 6th or the 7th one.
Whoa.
There is one fucking character that makes it through every Tremors movie, and it's the super crazy gun guy.
Yeah, makes sense.
Reba does not come back for the second or any of the other ones. But he was the guy that was married to Reba McEntire in the first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and they blow him all to hell. That's like the rest of the movies are just him finding himself in situations where he has to blow up more tremors, and it's great. In the second or third one, they have like flying tremors that like propel themselves by farting fire. So it gets into some weird territory.
Oh, what about The Happening with the Mark Wahlberg one? Was that The Happening? The M. Night Shyamalan, the nature trees.
The one where
are
like the
killing
air just
everybody?
makes you kill yourself.
Is that the one where, like, in the preview, a dude lays under a lawnmower?
Yeah. Where like everybody just kills themselves if they breathe this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
I've
like
seen
the
that.
plants did it.
Yeah.
Wait, spoilers.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
I remember that. That was such a completely unsatisfying ending.
Yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg playing himself again too, just the confused Boston person.
Just in a different environment.
What is this? What's going on?
Well, okay, that is actually probably the subcategory that I wanted to talk most about. Reggie, do you want to talk a little bit about cosmic horror?
Yeah, it's the best. Cosmic horror tends to blend like a lot of like elements of sci-fi and horror together. Stuff that's like beyond like normal human comprehension and stuff like that. Like The Happening, for instance, where like the plants did it and it's like, how? Then you have other great crazy shit movies like The Thing, where like it just takes the shape of people and it's this crazy fucking space thing that, you know, it's a thing.
Yeah, but like the thing counts in that category because it never shows its true form. It shows itself kind of in the middle of transitioning between forms. So you never know what the thing actually looks like. It makes it into a gateway for your imagination to finish the picture for you. It's also referred to as Lovecraftian horror because of how it's mostly monsters and things that are unfathomable. Did I say that right?
Oh, so it's like The Evil Dead too, unknown horror, unseen horror, or whatever.
Have you seen The Color of Space? That is like based off of a Lovecraft story.
I haven't watched that one yet.
Spoiler alert, Nick Cage is in it. You should probably check it out.
Okay, yep. I should probably check it out.
Yeah, I actually think that my favorite aspect of that is its like cinematography. It's just gorgeous and like the story is really weird and it's definitely sci-fi and horror, but I don't think I've seen such a cosmic display on Earth type of thing. Well, maybe I have. There's so much. There's so many horror movies. Let me see. So like I really like the idea of cosmic horror because it's like the unseen forces and like your imagination having to do it, and it's really really hard to achieve. There's a ton of movies that have tried it, trying to adapt things like Lovecraft or Stephen King or other like horror novelists, and it's just so hard to do. What do you think is your favorite cosmic horror movie?
Mine would have to be From Beyond, which it's, from the 80s, so it's like hella cheesy graphics. There's like these weird fucking like things that just come out of their fucking foreheads and shit, and then like turn into basically just a giant mass of blob of full parts and shit. It's fucking gnarly. Also, like, just the use of lighting in that movie is great.
David or Jake, based on the descriptions, you've already said what your favorite cosmic horror is, David, but do you guys maybe have any other names to throw into the pot of this genre category?
Alien.
Yeah, Alien. Alien 3 was good.
What? Alien 3 was like the worst one.
No, that was like a David Fincher one. He did like 7 and
1 and 2 are the best.
eh.
It's a fact.
I like the feel of 3, but
I mean, I liked 3 growing up, but it's definitely not the best.
yeah, maybe I just haven't seen them since then.
I feel like Aliens is the best one, but
Well, what about
I don't know.
like,
They're all pretty great.
even like I haven't seen the new ones, but are the new ones good? Like Prometheus and
Prometheus was all right. It was different, but like it ties into the universe and stuff, so I like it.
I forgot about Prometheus. I saw that one.
So I have two. The first one, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the movie Absentia. And that's kind of like a take on Billy Goat Gruff, and it's really, really low budget. I don't think it gets enough credit in the horror realm, but it's really good for this type of cosmic horror because you never see the monster. You just know about what happens when you're taken by it. And it's just really scary to be able to create this hellscape in your mind. But then another one is this movie called Resolution, and I haven't seen it in a long time. Like, essentially, this guy is trying to help his friend through like a drug relapse or something, and things just kind of get really weird. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's a good one. It's a good one. I'm gonna recommend that for everyone.
there's also Event Horizon, and I don't remember if it was The Fog or The Mist. Which one was good and one was bad? Does anybody remember?
Yeah, I forget which one was which.
I think
Which is the one where like I don't know how to describe it without saying what the ending was. I feel like one of them came out in like 2005, and it was like a dude, and he's trying to like basically protect his son from whatever happens in the mist or the fog or whatever. I don't remember which one it is though. I feel like it's the fog.
well, one is based off of a Stephen King book, right?
Yeah, it's a Stephen
That's the
King
one I'm thinking of.
Is that the one with the where they're inside the supermarket, or is that
Yes.
inside the supermarket in both of them?
I think that's the mist.
Oh,
I
I
felt
think
like the
that's
fog
the
was like
mist.
the one about a ship, which there is like the whole like nautical horror, which I just never really get into because it's like hell if I'll be on a boat.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
some of that shit ties into like Lovecraft with like Cthulhu and all that shit.
Yeah, I mean like isn't that what that show The Terror is kind of about?
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, truth be told, neither have I.
Is anybody watching Lovecraft Country?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
So good.
I'm liking it a lot so far. I love how there's just like at least one gory thing, like real gory thing per like episode. But then that's it. That's it. That's it for the episode most of the
It's just
time.
like a band-aid. Pull it off.
I like that show because unlike a lot of HBO shows, there's not like gratuitous sex. Way to go. Way to go.
Well, except for one episode, remember?
Oh
There's-
yeah.
I think the most recent one was just gratuitous. Like there's a quota HBO has, and they just tried to fill it in one episode.
Sometimes you just got to make the porn episode, and then just the rest of it's fine.
Yeah.
Right, here's the 12 nude seeds you need. HBO, we're done now. We're gonna go back to telling a story. Yeah.
All right. Is there, like, if you're scrolling through a streaming service or something and you see a thumbnail for a horror flick, is there a certain type of horror movie that you will avoid if you see something that looks like it could be that?
Any of like the Saw type stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Anything torture horror.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
that stuff. It literally gives me a stomach ache. It's crazy to have a guttural response to a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if it looks like, I don't know, like I'll never watch Human Centipede. I have no desire to watch that. I'll like
I've seen
I'll
it. I
never
just
watch-
talked about it.
I'll never watch Hostel. I'll never watch,
I
any
love
of the Saw
Hostel.
movies.
Hostile. Blah.
Or
Uh,
just I guess the grossly violent ones in general, like The Hills Have Eyes. I don't really like movies like that, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't mind those movies. I don't know. Like, The
They're
Hills Have Eyes
great.
has like a kind of gross aspect to it with it being about like radiation poisoning and stuff, but then it
Well,
kind
what
of
about,
makes you
like-
think, you know?
What about like Devil's Rejects?
Devil's Rejects is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of horror movies that just kind of hold a special place in my heart because I'm like a huge horror nut. And like Rob Zombie does other things with his movies that I think are interesting. For example, and you might not like this, he likes to put really light, happy sounding folk music in the background of really violent scenes to kind of mess with your like comfort in those moments. And I really like that. I feel like it's an interesting thing when it's- I think it's interesting when directors will do things that make you think or make you feel things. Like with Suspiria and movies like that, how the soundtrack is something that really moves and captivates the whole story. I mean, it's like super art house, but Suspiria, both the old one and the new one, super creepy. Super creepy.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that much about the Devil's Rejects, but I loved the soundtrack. I do recall that.
Funny note about Rob Zombie. Did anybody see the thing about him and that skate park? So they put up a skate park behind his house that these teens raise money for or whatever, and he's been like complaining to the police about the noise, and he's trying to get it shut down.
No.
Yeah.
Aw. Boo.
More like
Yeah.
Rob Lamo.
Yeah.
Good one, Katie.
Thanks.
It is more like that.
One thing I usually avoid is the bigger the number after the title. Nah, I'm probably good. Like if it goes up to like fucking 5 plus, or like usually after 4, it starts like geting weird.
Jason
Yeah.
Goes to Hell was good. That was like way up there.
See, the
but I
Jason
guess
movies are different for some damn reason. Some
Yeah.
of those get like pretty like they kind of trailed off and then they picked back up and then they just kind of trailed off again.
Same with Nightmare on Elm Street, though. Like, it gets pretty ridiculous. And then, like, Wes Craven comes back to do a new Nightmare, and it's a lot more like the old movies. But, like, there's Freddy's Dead, and that
Freddy's
one
Dead was
really.
awesome.
That one sucks.
It was so,
It was so
crappy.
weird. It
good.
was like a bizarre episode of Pee Wee's Playhouse or something.
See, but for me, like for instance, like the Final Destination movies, like the first one, great. After that, like I think it's like first one and the last one were actually pretty. Like the last one was pretty good. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but they kind of just tie into each other, and I like that. Then there's like Saw. Like the first 2 are good. I like the first 2. I kind of just didn't really like the third one was just kind of more of the same thing, and then like so on and so forth.
Did you see that there's a Saw theme park ride? It's like a
It's
like a roller coaster with like saws on it.
Fuck that.
You want to play a game?
Well, Saw, okay, the original Saw movie I have respect for because they made it in like 21 days with a minimal budget. The way that it hit and made such waves was very unexpected.
I remember it was a big deal when that came out.
That first one is great.
It has that guy from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
He's also in Princess Bride.
I just remember I saw Saw 4 over at a friend's house and was like very lost. Like they had tried to put a story in a movie that it was meaningless to have that level of story added onto. Like, why are you trying to make me feel stuff?
In this motion picture.
I like. Well, what about like spoopy ghost movies? Have we talked
Oh
about those?
my god, don't even. I'm going to just say this right here right now that the series on Netflix, The Haunting of Hill House is so good. It's probably the best ghost story ever, and it's based off of The Haunting of Hill House, the book that was turned into a movie in like the 50s or 60s that was then later turned into another movie called The Haunting with uh Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger, and yeah,
Someone's clearly never seen Casper
Yeah.
I
He's
have
friendly.
seen Casper.
He's a friendly ghost.
because that is the greatest ghost story ever told.
The cameos in that movie are ridiculous. Like when they're trying to get the ghosts out of the house, they straight up have Dan Aykroyd as a Ghostbuster bust in and be like, I can't handle this.
I don't remember that at all, but I'm going to rewatch the movie for that alone.
Recently.
What did you think of the Paranormal Activity movies?
They scared me.
I still
Didn't like it.
Still haven't actually watched them.
I like Asian ghost movies. Like Shudder is a good one. That's spooky. And then One Missed Call is good, which is by Takeshi Miike, who did like Ichi the Killer and a whole lot of stuff. Both were adapted into American films that were really bad, so don't watch those.
I'm like way too skeptical for my own good. Sometimes I'll watch like videos on YouTube about like ghost stuff, and I'm like, but it could also just be this, and it could also just be this. So like, I don't know, like, it's I feel like there's some I've watched that I've liked. I just don't remember which ones they were.
I feel like that's I like those because they just have the stupid like jump scares and the kind of tension and stuff. But like, and certain ones are good. Like One Missed Call has a lot of like nice, really high tension scenes. But like in life, I feel like I'm more like that. I'm more the type to fix the pipes that keep turning on and off or the door that keeps swinging.
Yeah, if you like shows like Ghost Adventures and stuff, this probably isn't the group to be watching it with. I love that stuff just to watch, but I don't really buy into it super deeply. I have met Mr. Boots in Scotland. If y'all know who that is, comment below. Okay.
Sounds like a cat, Mr. Boots.
Mr.
Apparently,
Just a spooky ghost cat
yeah,
with a
down-
little top hat.
Yeah. He's got a monocle.
super cute, super cute.
Oh, one horror movie that's better in the American version than it is in the Asian version is The Ring. The Ring was pretty good.
Does that count as a ghost movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tight, I like that one.
yeah.
I knew there was one.
The first time that I saw The Ring, I was not initially scared. I was like a big brave dog and said this movie's dumb. All the hype is for naught. And then I got home and I had a TV in my bedroom and I think I must have rolled over on the remote or something cuz it just like turned on blaring to like channel 3 like all white fuzzy and stuff and I freaked out. And then in there I decided it's a scary movie. What was the first horror movie that you saw that really stuck with you?
I probably would have to say Child's Play. Like, there used to be this like doll called like My Buddy or something, and I had one of those, and then I had watched Child's Play as a kid, and like I destroyed it. I destroyed that doll. Like, no way in hell.
What was the scariest aspect of the movie for you at the time? Was it that the doll came to life and was evil, or was it like some action that the doll took that scared you?
The movie was fine. It was just the my buddy doll I had just like
Yeah, you had
creeped
it.
me the fuck out after watching that. So nope, no more of that guy.
I think it was one of the Friday the 13th movies. I remember I was really small and like we lived out in the woods, so that kind of shit really freaked me out. But I was a youngin of some age, and it was one of the scenes where like somebody was standing in front of a kitchen window, and then the saw just busts in and like cuts, I want to say, this woman's head off. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah, kind of vaguely.
I think it was Friday the 13th anyway, but that scene in whatever movie that was really scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid. And Child's Play also scared me.
See, like looking back, Child's Play is really not that scary. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, neither is Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
The original Friday the 13th is so bad. Like, I saw that when I was like 14, and I got all the way to the end, I found out, but it's like he jumps out of the water and grabs someone. When that happened, I shut it off and was like, fuck it. I don't even care what happens after this. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I realized that I had actually made it all the way to the end of the movie. But that really freaked me out. We had a pond in my backyard. That could have been. Yeah.
I love slasher flicks, but like that's one thing that I hate jump scares so much because they get me every damn time. I'm just like, nope.
Jump scares are like kind of a toss up. Sometimes I think that they're annoying and kind of cliche, but other times I really like them. What did you think of the show Slasher?
I've watched 2 seasons of that, and I liked it. It's like American Horror Story, but like just gore.
Yeah, the latest season of American Horror Story, the 1984 one, is definitely worth checking out if you like things like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, no, just Friday the 13th. What was the first horror movie that you saw that like really stuck with you?
I think when I was really young, I saw Hellraiser. I remember all of the whatever they're called. The things in Hellraiser would freak me out.
I haven't ever seen Hellraiser, but I keep seeing videos that include like chunks of it, and those do seem like really spooky looking monsters.
I think it was the one that had its like hooks holding its mouth open and just the chomping teeth and stuff. Zenobites. They were called the Zenobites. That's it.
Yeah. I
They
remember the first time I watched Hellraiser. Yeah, that was kind of a painful one to watch.
Yeah. It's gruesome.
So the first horror movie that I think I saw that stuck with me, that it still to this day doesn't make any sense, was The Birds. We watched it when I was at my aunt's house. I had a nightmare, and from there on out, I wasn't really allowed to watch horror movies unless I was sneaking horror movies in when my parents weren't looking and stuff, which I did.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like a rebel without a cause. Can't scare me.
Unless you're a bird, apparently.
I do think though that anytime that I see big swarms of birds, I get kind of scared because that movie just was simply like the birds are taking over. And why wouldn't
Yeah.
they? And like, that's like a whole thing too. Like Children of the Corn, it's scary. The kids took over because like why wouldn't they? Malachi is like super scary. The one with the little hat.
I saw that one when I was younger too, actually.
Murder children.
Some of the
That's
older
what they are.
like the classic horror movies, I think still hold up. They still have these little creepy things about them and these touches that modern movies really can't execute well. But there is a horror movie that I want to make a shout out to that if you haven't seen it, fucking see it. It's so good. And that's Mandy. Mandy is so good.
I was gonna ask earlier
Yeah.
what category do you guys think Mandy falls under?
That's like definitely supernatural horror because like I think that they're like otherworldly beings and stuff.
Yeah. It seems like it. That movie fucking ruled.
That movie's so good.
It's supposed to be like
Yeah.
a black metal music video.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they just let Nick Cage do whatever he wanted to. You know, Nick Cage actually did a couple of movies that were really good. He did Mandy. He did the one that I was talking about earlier, The Color of Space, and then he also did one called Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad was pretty good.
Yeah.
Was that the one where like the parents like try to kill the kids?
Yeah.
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 Dude, that was a really good movie.
I was really proud of him for choosing roles that actually fit him instead of trying to make roles work with who
Well,
he
I
is.
feel like directors are kind of looking for him specifically too when they work on these roles. Like in Mandy, that whole scene with the in the bathroom with the bottle of
Yeah.
vodka. Yeah, that was entirely improvised. They just put him in there in that outfit and gave him the bottle, and he just went with it from there.
Top 5 horror movies. Lay it out.
Mine are From Beyond, The Thing, Alien, this Korean movie called I Saw the Devil, and I just watched it last night and I love it. Midsummer.
I'm going to say They Live, Halloween, The Witch, Army of Darkness, and I mean, The Babadook scared me the first time that I saw it, I guess.
So yeah, I guess Shutter and One Missed Call and The Host. I've only got 3. I don't know. I'll say The Shining. I still like that movie a lot.
The Shinning.
The Shining.
It's like the kneecapping, but different. A little lower.
Let's say Hereditary, because that one legitimately spooked me. I guess was really, I mean, more unsettling than anything.
Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, they kind of run together for me. Somebody mentioned Cloverfield earlier. I never thought of that as like a scary kind of movie, but I know a lot of people hate that movie. I really love that movie. I'm also going to say Hereditary because it's the one I saw most recently that actually had an impact on me. Mandy, because I actually fucking love Mandy. And I'll say Army of Darkness too, because whatever.
I asked people on Facebook what they thought the best horror movie was, and a lot of people said Hereditary. Like a lot of people. But let's see what else people said.
It was certainly the first scary movie I'd seen in a long time that actually like made me feel very real things. It didn't feel like just jump scare bullshit.
What movie no one's mentioned yet at this point Get Out.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That movie just is unsettling as all hell.
Dude, and Us.
Also, I just thought of this one too. It Follows. That one was pretty great. The whole premise of it's just kind of funny, but it's so good.
As Above, So Below is really good for one of those kind of claustrophobic found footage movies too.
Oh yeah, that's a whole genre and like subgenre of like horrors, like the found footage stuff.
Wasn't Troll Hunter a found footage?
Yeah, that movie was
Yeah,
great.
that was good.
And like I know some people have a lot of issues with that because like the constant moving of the camera and shit makes them dizzy and whatnot.
Yeah. If you watch it on higher def televisions, I guess that goes away, or so I hear.
Okay, if I was to make a quick top 5 off of what I'm seeing on this list of Facebook responses, it would be Hereditary, It Follows, Halloween, Cabin in the Woods, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You say Cabin in the Woods, and I just think Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever was fucking gross. I love
Yeah,
that. I
it
love
was.
that was the next
It was
move
only
for...
really. It was that leg shaving scene. Like
Ugh.
that's the scene.
Oh man, no one's mentioned zombie movies at all, but that's fair. There's a lot of zombie movies.
I have one last talking point before we get into our unsolicited advice. And this is kind of a debate. What movie monster do you think is the best?
Well, Godzilla, obvious.
I'm going to say Leprechaun because branding.
I mean, I would think the unseen force in Evil Dead. That thing can do anything, it seems.
I would probably say The Thing.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, I think you win.
That was a really easy fight.
I mean, taking on Godzilla is, that's one thing.
Yeah, but isn't like The Thing's thing that it gets like a sample of whatever and becomes that thing? Like it replicates?
Yeah, that's why Godzilla in that bad. Unless the fire breath, because it doesn't like fire very much.
I mean, I think that the unseen terror would really be my only admirable foe.
Yeah, Godzilla's just big.
Yeah, the fire is a major hindrance, but I think that I'd be able to overcome that by just kind of staying in the water.
Yeah.
I forgot what Jake even said. What did you say?
Leprechaun.
We've come to the end of our podcast tonight talking about horror movies. We can talk about more horror movies if you want to and get into, I guess, in-depth takes on them. If you want us to watch a horror movie and talk about it, comment below. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week. Before we head out, we're going to give you a little bit of unsolicited advice. But this week, I'd like the advice to kind of be advice for getting out of a horror movie scenario alive.
Get to the chopper.
You can always sell the house.
Lock the doors and keep all the lights on all the time.
Here's my advice. And it's the same every week. Be rad, stay chill, and always do the right thing. If you're the good guy, then you always make it out alive.
I don't think being rad and doing the right thing is going to defeat the leprechaun. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
Subscribe.
Ding, ding, ding.
Subscribe.
Vote.
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 Eat your vegetables.